Welcome back. So for today's PowerPoint, we're going to continue on learning a few new techniques and refining some old techniques. And then we're going to start using our files we've done before and integrate our slideshow with some of the other programs we've been using, like Microsoft Excel. So to get started, I've got one other person joining us here. We are going to go to our PowerPoint. So you can start Microsoft Office if you haven't already. And we're going to create a new presentation. So one of the things you may have noticed is that as we're doing our presentations, I haven't been sending you files to share. One of the reasons is it's hard to get the 365 to do like we did with Excel, where everybody could copy off of one document. You can do it, but you have to go a slide at a time. Now, we'll say in the desktop version of PowerPoint, you can convert it to what's called outline view and completely copy the text and paste it over. But unfortunately, in 365, we can't do that quite yet. But as you notice, there's not a lot of text in a PowerPoint presentation. There may be a number of slides, but as far as each slide, there's not a whole bunch of typing to do. So it's a little different than Microsoft Word, and definitely a lot different than Excel. So once you've opened it, we're going to save this presentation as PowerPoint. Go for hamburger stand. So the goal today is to open up or to do advertising for a hamburger stand that we're going to open in Patterson. So to get started, we're going to give it a name, Patterson Hamburgers. And the subtitle is going to be Grand Opening. So like yesterday, I want to bring up the designer. So I'm going to select the design menu. From here. And once again, we get all the themes from which to choose here. And I'm going to use my pick list here. So there's, again, the different themes and their variations, or now we can call up the designer over here. And you'll see this paintbrush has a little, it's supposed to look like an exploding star or something. Anyway, it's to tell you it's active. So when I select that on the right side, I should get a number of things. And what the computer will do is look at your text in the slide of which you're sitting, and it should come up with relevant options on the right side here. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom and see more design ideas. And you'll see these are different styles. So these have a little bit more to them than the designs that come with the program itself. And you just scroll down, you can see that once it gets done with a couple of ideas, it starts going and basically going to the whole list. But you get an idea of what your presentation would look like if you went with that style. So I'm going to use this style. It's got basically hamburgers. It also does have pizza. And that will allow us to introduce our grand opening. All right. So now I'm going to go to the home ribbon here. I'm going to do a new slide, and I'm going to do title and content. Now, you'll notice our colors have been inverted. In the presentation we did yesterday, we had black text on a white background. This time we have white text on a black background. So just keep in mind when we're doing this, it does make a difference on some of the images we're going to use, and you're going to see that they look a little different when they have a black background. And that can be good or bad. It's a little bit more you're a little bit more constrained in which images will work well with the background. I will tell you though, if you're using a projector to do this presentation, it allows you to put it basically in any spot you want, meaning there is no black light. Black for PowerPoint is the absence of light. So it won't try to project black up there. So what I mean is let's say you had a piece of wall space you want to do this on, but there's two windows on either side of it. If you use the white background, what'll happen is it could overlap into those windows, especially if you enlarge it. If you use the black background, it won't even show it. As long as you don't have any images here or over here, and you keep them in the middle, then if it's black, it doesn't show any color at all. So you can fit it in tighter spaces. So that's one of those things that if you ever come across it, it's a good thing to do. Always a good thing to go into the venue that you're going to show your presentation first to check things out, make sure they have the right equipment. And if you can, bring your own equipment, because I've seen a number of presentations go haywire because people didn't have things set up correctly, or they didn't work out all the technical sides of it too. All right. So we're going to say opening, grand opening, March 20th. You notice this style has my titles in all caps behind my designer. And then down below, we're going to say a new place for lunch. So our goal is to get the lunch crowd. Spell lunch correctly. Okay, I'm going to insert a duplicate slide here. And now we're going to start putting in some attributes that we want to include. So what makes us great is going to be the title with a question mark. So here we're going to say great prices, the biggest hamburgers by weight, a full vegetarian menu, play area for the kids, and because of our current times, we're also going to include full COVID-19 precautions, whatever they may be, on March 20th. Okay, so I want another new slide. Again, I'm just going to duplicate this slide and wipe out the text here. So this is going to be an invitation to come visit us. And then I'm going to put in the address. So our address is 510 Keystone Boulevard, Patterson, California. 95363. It's not really a hamburger place, by the way. That's the school district office. All right. I'm going to duplicate this slide. And this is going to be our second location. And then in parentheses, coming soon. So we plan to branch out. That's how successful we're going to be. And this one's going to be 142 Las Palmas. Now notice I just wiped out the street address and left everything else the same. Oops. And we're going to do another new slide. This time though, I want to insert a new slide, but I want to do a comparison. So if you remember, we've used these before. These slides are basically the layout for doing a step-by-step comparison. I'm saying with Patterson hamburgers. And then our burgers, other burgers. So we're going to brag about lower prices, bigger burgers, more options. And then for other burgers, it's going to be higher prices, tiny burgers, and limited options. All right, ready for another new slide. So it's going to be title and content. So this is going to be lots of avocado options. then the subtitle here, or the text underneath it, is going to be avocados are more popular than ever. Except I heard we have an embargo or something happened that the avocado shipments are going to be on hold for a day or two. That will affect our hamburger place. Actually, hopefully, if they get it resolved by March 20th, I guess it wouldn't. All right. We're going to put in a new slide. It's going to be title and content. And this one's going to be who we are. So for this one, we want to add an organizational chart. So we're going to go over here to our insert ribbon we did yesterday. And let's insert an org chart. So that's under smart art. It doesn't say org chart at this point, but it is a type of smart art. As I scroll down, it's going to be under hierarchy. And the one most people are used to are these boxes. All right, there we go. So it's going to work like yesterday. So let's say you are the manager or the owner. So I'm going to put my name in. As the owner. Then I want to add a house manager. So let's make up a name, using a name you like. Say manager. I'm going to skip over to the other same level. And what I mean by that is I want to go, I've got this one here for the manager. I'm going to put the head chef over here. So I'll put in Mike Smith, head chef. So you'll notice on the left side, as we're keying these in, when you're using the hierarchy, you'll see the bullets and the indented bullets. People who are on the same level as the indent or show up as the same level over here in our org chart. Then the people underneath them will show up as underneath them over there. So that does the layout and shows how the employees relate to each other and who's the boss and who messed up when things go wrong. So for now, you'll notice we have 2 people under Sarah. Well, we're just starting out, so I'm only going to have 1. All right. So that's all right. I'm going to click under Sarah. And she's going to have Mark waits. Going to be the waiter. Now I want to get rid of the other one, so I'm going to use the delete key, and that's going to remove that bullet in my your text here. It also removes the square that's associated with it in the org chart. So under Mike, the head chef, we're going to have Janet Rhodes, assistant chef. Okay, so I click in the background, my your text here disappears. If I need it back again, I can again click on my org chart and it will pop up. The other thing I can do with this org chart is you'll see that as I click on it, I can move it around. I can also enlarge it just like I can enlarge any graphic. I can stretch it out. What'll happen though is it'll snap back to match the text. So the text style makes a difference. So right now, let's say I wanted, because I got a little extra room. I could drag it down some. And a little bit up. So it expands. Now I can pull it in and watch how it snaps. This is using proportional spacing, meaning it's always going to have the same proportion. So see when I have to do that again. When I drag it across, see how stretched out it is? All right, but I haven't released it yet. When I release it, it'll snap back. The reason it does that is that's how it manages the different names and things. The more you have over here, so let's say under Janet, I put another one, the smaller the whole image is going to get. Now, given how it's positioned, I can actually stretch it to the top of my slide because I do have some room next to my short title. So I could do that if I really needed it bigger. But just know that that's how these smart art works, or the smart art works, is it adjusts itself. I'm going to delete that last person. And there we go. By the way, you'll notice as I deleted it, I used the backspace. I should have probably used the delete key next to Assistant Chef. But as I backspace, it promotes this empty box one level each time I backspace. So backspace. Now it's on the same level as the Assistant Chef. Backspace again, it was Head Chef. Now it's the same level as Owner until I backspace and delete it that way. So that's what makes these smart art devices a little different in that they are constantly updating themselves and have certain rules to follow. But once you start working with them, you'll see how they work. And by the way, if you use this in PowerPoint, you can also use this in Microsoft Word. We just didn't get into the smart art. That's kind of advanced in Word, but it works exactly the same way. And as you're going to see, you can copy and paste this chart into a Word document. So let's say you are the owner, so you're going to apply for the bank for a loan, and you want to show your hierarchy. You can just copy this, paste it in there, and you don't have to recreate it. All right. Let's insert one more slide. And this time, we're going to make it title and content. So this is going to be hope to see you on March 20th. So we're going to offer free food, free balloons for the kids, and visit our hamburger magician for our grand opening. All right. So that's our layout. Not too bad, 9 slides. I'm going to start on slide 2. And one thing we're going to need is we want to have a logo. So the logo can be made up of any graphics and any text. So I'm just going to do it on slide 2, but I'm going to use it on every slide. So I want to insert, and I'm going to go into icons. And because we're a hamburger, I'm going to just put in hamburgers. Okay, well, hamburger doesn't show up there, so I'm going to switch over to images. And you'll see here, you've got pictures of hamburgers. Now the thing is, I need something that's going to be standalone because I'm going to build it into a logo. So I'm going to try. If you also got stickers, I don't think there's a hamburger stickers, but so you can search for different things. Stickers are usually, I don't use them very often myself, but they are cartoonish. And the advantage to using stickers is, like here you'll see a chicken. Well, you have the same chicken in different poses, and that's hard to find online. And you can do that if, let's say you want to use the same chicken, if we were doing a chicken place, maybe the chickens are our logo, and you have the chicken almost like commenting on each slide as you go along. You can also go to illustrations, and illustrations are just what they sound. They're more like clip art. So if we can't find what we're looking for here, we are going to have to go to our pictures and Bing pictures and hamburger. This time though, I need to make sure it's transparent. So I'm going to click on transparent. Oh, good. So they were all transparent anyway. Let me go back to all, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to switch all types, and where would be? I'm looking for one that didn't show up when I did transparent. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, see here how I've got a white box around it? So if that's what I'm looking for, that could be my logo, but that's the problem, is it will always have that white box. For what I need a transparent hamburger so I can put something else behind it. So I'm going to undo that, close my designer, go back to insert pictures, Bing pictures, do hamburger, select transparent. Now I don't really want to pick an image, especially if it's recognizable as somebody else's hamburger, because I think this one here looks like McDonald's. Even that one looks like McDonald's. That's the last thing I want to do, right? Plus, because it's a logo, I want it to be a little cartoonish, although it doesn't have to be. It looks like a drawing. So I'm going to insert this drawing of a hamburger. Now you'll see this one doesn't have a background. When I click on it, you'll see the white lines and the white circles indicate its boundary, and between the burger itself and the background, there's nothing. And I can tell there's nothing because I can put over the word March and I can still see some of the letters. And the only part I can't see is because of the hamburger bun. So that's good. That's what we need for a logo, because we're going to overlap things. So I want to make it a little smaller. Now I'm going to go back to insert. This time we're going to use shapes. So shapes are the basic designs that come built into both PowerPoint and Word. And you can actually use them in Excel too. There's a couple shapes in Excel, or you can grab one, put it into Word, copy and paste it into Excel. Okay, so these are the different shapes and styles. So of course you've got circles, you've got squares. Some of these up there are, if you want to do squiggly line, you can draw lines. You can use arrows, a lot of call out arrows. You even have a happy face down here, a smiley face. I'm going to use the sun over here. So I'm going to click on sun. And you'll see it comes across as a kind of a dark yellow. So I'm going to change that. So while I've got it selected, you'll see at the top up here, we have a new ribbon. It's called the shape ribbon. And it looks a lot like the same ribbons we've been using every time we did a picture, an icon, an image, etc. So you've got shape fill, and this determines the color that your shape is loaded with. So right now, it's a dark yellow or kind of a gold. I'm going to turn it into a bright yellow. And then I'm going to use the shape outline. Now the shape outline is the line that goes around it. And it can be any color. I'm going to make it red. and I can see it, but I want to make it heavier. So I'm going to go back to shape outline. You see under weight, I'm going to make it 2¼ points. Oops, I hit blue. And my shape turned blue, or the outline did. There it goes. So you can see that better. I was reading an article about advertising, and they mentioned how many places use yellow and red together. And it's one of those things that I never noticed it before, but once I read that and I'm driving down the freeway and I see all these places, there are a lot of places. McDonald's is yellow and red. Denny's is yellow and red. Chevron, yellow and red. So apparently this is a pretty popular combination, so it must work. Okay, so that's our little sunburst. Now I want the hamburger to go on top of it. The problem is if I drag the hamburger on top of it, it goes behind it. See, I can't see it. So what's happened is the computer puts things in layers and it puts them in order of which they're put on the slide. So just like yesterday, I'm going to click on the hamburger, go to the picture menu now, and you notice this is picture, not like the sun where we had shape. So they look similar, but they're technically different. The computer's recognizing they are different. So you'll see there's bring forward. I'll just say bring to front because I always want this on top. Now, if I put it on top of the star or the sun, it shows up on top. So I could also have selected the sun and said send backwards. Either way, you get the same result. So even if things are side by side and they don't look like they are together, or that they're layered, try putting one on top of the other and see what happens. Everything is in a layer, even our title, our text, a new place for lunch, and now our two images. All right, so there's our logo. I want to convert this logo into one image. Right now it's two, and you can leave it at two, but I want it to be a single image. So I'm going to hold the shift key down. I've clicked on the sun, hold the shift key down, click the hamburger. You should see now two sets of those circles, and that means they're all selected. Okay. Then I'm going to right click on my burger, and you'll see this option to group. Okay, I'm going to click on group. And now I have one set of circles all the way around. What this means is now when I want to move it or copy it, it's just one item. I don't have to select two items separately. I can click, drag. See, it's real easy. And as I shrink it down, it moves both of them in proportional sizes. So make it a little larger. And then I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it to the right, just 25 degrees, about. Now I'm looking at it, actually, it looks like Carl's Jr., which also has white or yellow and red in their color combinations. Okay, so here's my logo. I'm going to have the logo appear in the bottom right-hand corner, and I want it to be consistent. So I'm going to select it, drop it here, and now I'm going to copy it. So just a Control-C. I'm going to go to slide 1, and I'm going to paste. Now, for this time, this one I want to move over on top of the name, just so it gets the idea. It's associating the name with the logo. But in all the other slides, I want it to show in the right-hand corner. I'm going to go to slide 3 and paste. If you paste it, it remembers where you copied it, not where I moved it. Remember slide 1, I pasted it, moved it. But on slide 2, when I copied it, it puts it in the exact same location. Do it again. Slide 4, paste. Slide 5, paste. Slide 6, paste. Slide 7, paste. Now I'll tell you why this is important to have it in the same spot. As I mentioned, when PowerPoint transitions from one slide to the next, it can look like a flip book. And what'll happen is if the sun logo is out of place, then it draws the eye to that movement. So what I mean by that is let's do the slideshow, run the show from the beginning. There's my opening. Okay, now you see the logo in the right-hand corner. And as I click, it looks like the logo is not changing. It actually is. It's changing with every slide. The thing is, it's in the exact same spot, so it doesn't look like it's moving. So it's kind of like, I guess, like an optical illusion. I'm going to slide 3 here, and I'm going to move it just a bit up. All right. I'm going to run my slideshow again from the beginning. And now watch what happens when I get to that slide. See it bounce? So, that can be a little distracting. So I'm going to delete it and I'm going to paste again. Okay. So that way it's set with all the other slides. And I can even I don't have to run the slideshow to see it. I can just flip through these and see how the logo is not moving. And that's what I want. Okay, so there we go. Now we have a logo. If you want to, you can always put text with it. And I could have wrapped the words Patterson Hamburgers around it. The problem with a 365 version of PowerPoint is it doesn't have smart text. It has smart art, but not the word art. And in Word and PowerPoint on the desktop, it's called Word Art. And you basically can fiddle around with art, with words. You can make them into a circle. They can be banners and all kinds of things. So you have a lot more tools. If you really needed it, what you could do is create the logo in the desktop version and then import it into 365 if you want to work on 365. So you still, have options to do that. Also on the web, if you do a search, there are lots of little places that'll help you do a logo, and some of them are free. And then if you really need a logo, you go to Fiverr. I don't know if you heard of Fiverr, Fiverr. So it's actually there's no E, but it's a place where you can say, I need a logo. How much would you charge me? I want a hamburger place and I want to make it different. So then people will bid on it and say, I'll start with $5. And they can, or they can say it'll be $20 or $100, depending on what they're going to give you. But we just created our own logo to get started. All right. So now we have a good start. We're going to fill in our slides with some different graphics and import some information over from different sources. So right now it's 6:52. We'll take a 10-minute break. When we come back, we will do just that. All right, so we're back. We'll finish our little hamburger presentation here. All right, so we have our grand opening on March 20th. I'm going to change the text here for a new place for lunch. So I want to go to the home ribbon and turn off the bullets. So it won't be a bulleted list. So I'm going to use the little pick list bullets and say none. I'm going to change it so it's centered, center alignment, horizontally. And then while I've selected it, I want to increase the font size. So I'm going to go up to 36 points. And then I want to move it down. Now there's two ways to move it down. I could hit enter before the letter A, or I can just grab the shaping handle and pull it down right about there. So I'm going to cover it up. What I want to do, I'm going to go to insert and a picture. I'm going to take a picture and cover up that a new place for lunch. So we're advertising the grand opening, and that's kind of they use the frame or the word takeaways. One of the big takeaways is that we're having a grand opening on March 20th. If they can't remember anything else, we really need to remember that. So I'm going to do a search for grand opening banner. And again, I'm going to select it as transparent. So only the transparent ones will show up. So you'll see I have a number of different items here. And the one I'm looking for didn't show up, so I'm going to change it to ribbon. I'm going to use the one with the scissors and the little ribbon here and insert. Okay. I'm going to place it over a new place for lunch. And I'm going to stretch it out and make it bigger. Oops. I moved it instead of resized it. So I'm using the sizing handles. There we go. Now this one, by the way, as you notice, it's not proportional, unlike our organizational chart, meaning if I stretch it further along the horizontal, it'll stretch out and look skinnier. And then if I pull it vertically, it makes it taller. So there's our ribbon cutting. All right, so this time I'm going to go to our animations. I'm going to use the pick list. And this time it's going to be an exit animation. So I'm going to use the stretchy animation. And it's going to be on exit. So I'll show you how that works now. Let's go to slide one. Let's go to slideshow from the beginning. So I just went to the first slide so we could see it from the beginning. Okay, here comes slide two. So when slide two appears, it says grand opening March 20th. And there's our ribbon cutting. Now when I click again, you'll see it disappears, and behind it, we have a new place for lunch. I click again, it takes us to the next slide. So that's what an exit animation will do, is it will show up as an element in the slide itself when it goes to that slide. But then when you click, it removes the graphic. So in this case, I can see what's behind it. And then it'll pause. So it gives me a chance to describe what we just saw. So I'll just do it. I'm going to run the animation again. So it says this, grand opening, March 20th. So I talk about, we can't wait. We've been working hard and we're going to have our big grand opening on March 20th. Click again. This is going to be the new place for lunch in Patterson, or whatever I want to say. Then I click again and move on. So that's a way to use the exit animation as opposed to the entrance animation. Let's go to slide 3. So our big draw is our great prices. So I'm going to go to Insert. And I want to insert a picture. It's going to be a Bing picture. And I'm just going to type in $. Again, I want to make sure it's transparent. Now, some of these look like they're transparent, and they probably are. Oops, I didn't mean to cancel that. So I could take a guess. And frankly, when I'm doing something in a hurry, that's what I usually do. I take a gamble, and then if it doesn't work, I go back and select transparent. So I'd say, okay, I think this one's going to work. Let me click it, insert, and see what happens. In that case, I was wrong. So again, a drawback of using a black background or any colored background is it's going to look like this. Now that could be okay, but I want it just to be standalone. So I'm going to undo that and insert picture from Bing Pictures, $, and then make it transparent, or make sure that I'm selecting a transparent one. Okay, I think I'll go with a green one. And this has a little shading in it, so that's good. So I'm going to insert. I'm going to remove the little text disclaimer. All right, I'm going to shrink this down. I want to make it smaller. I'm going to go to my animations. And this time, I want an entrance animation. So I really want to emphasize it. So I'm going to do zoom. So that's going to be animation number 1. I'm going to copy it and paste it again and move it up and over. It carries over the animation again because I set it before I copied it. This time I'm going to change the option to slide center. I'm going to paste it one more time. So the point of this is, of all these advantages, great prices is what we're really pushing. We want people to remember that. So we're going to really emphasize it with the $. So to help emphasize it, I'm going to expand the $signs as we go. You'll notice our logo here does not have any animation on it. There's no number associated with it. And that's okay, because we wanted that to come in when the slide came in. So if there's no animation on it, it doesn't get animated, whether it's a picture or even this text up here. I do want to click on this text box in our list, and I want this one to fly in, and under options, I want to do it by paragraph. All right. So my goal is to have the words come over first, then the dollar signs. The way I see it laid out now, it's the opposite. So I'm going to click on the dollar sign, and I want to move it later. I'm going to click on the second dollar sign and have that one move later till it's 7. And the top dollar sign, I want that one to be 8. So it's great prices, the biggest hamburgers, all the way down to full COVID precautions. And then the middle dollar sign, the little dollar sign, and the large dollar sign. So let's see how that's going to play. So I'm going to do the slideshow from the current slide. What makes this great? Great prices, biggest hamburgers by weight, full vegetarian menu, play area for the kids, and full COVID precautions. It's prices, prices, prices. Done. Now you may ask, when I did the animation here for the text, why did each line come in separately, whereas yesterday they came in groups? Well, remember, each of these items is on the same level. They're the top level. If I went to the biggest hamburgers by weight and I hit the tab key, what happens is then it's grouped together with the other bulleted item. So if it's in the hierarchy of bullets, that's what's going to happen. Because they're all on the equal level, each one's going to come in individually when I went to options here and told it by paragraph. So each one of those counts as a paragraph. All right, slide 4. Come visit us. So in this case, we want to have a map to show people where we're going to be located. So to do so, I'm going to go out to the internet, and we're going to draw in an image from the internet. So to do so, I'm going to click on a new browser, and in Google, which is one most people use, and there are a lot of other options. There's still Yahoo. Yahoo still works, and Bing, B-I-N-G, that's Microsoft's. But in this case, I'm going to put in our address and hit enter. What's going to happen is, because Google being the way it is going to give the map of the area plus the street view, a little miniature street view. So that's kind of handy. So this is an image. Whoops, I clicked on it. I didn't mean to do that. So when this shows up on my browser, I'm using Firefox, I can right click on it and copy image. Sometimes, depending on your browser, you can take a screenshot. Like if I'm off of the picture, I can right click and you'll see there's take screenshot. Take screenshot allows you to take a picture of the screen or of a box. So I can click on the image and I can shrink it, say, okay, I only want this part, and determine how much I want to copy. But either way, you can grab an image. So I'm going to click copy. I go back to my PowerPoint. And there it is. So I'm going to enlarge it. Now in this case, you'll see that the text is a little bit blurry when you enlarge it. But this one you can stretch out. And there's our picture. The other option, if either of those two things don't work, is when you are working with your image. Let's go back to our website here. You do have another option, depending on your computer. On mine, I have a key that says Pritzker, PRTSC. If I hit that key, go back, what it does, it takes a snapshot of whatever's on my screen. So if I then go back to PowerPoint, I can put it on here. The problem though is it takes a picture of the entire screen. So yeah, I got a bunch of this stuff. So you can crop it and adjust it, but it's a little bit more work. By the way, that's kind of a handy tool. There are some images that you might want to capture, and they won't let you copy them. If you try to right click, it won't copy, and it might even come up in the notice that this is not copyable. But you might still want to keep it just for archive's sake. So I'll give you an example. My son and his family took Christmas pictures. So you get to see online the different pictures, but you're supposed to order them if you want to print them. Well, we did, but I wanted to keep copies of all of them because they were all cute, you know, and family and kids, they're always cute. So what I did is I did take screenshots of the pictures and put them in a file just for memory's sake. And they're still stamped, you know, with a note, and we still did buy some, so we're not stealing them, but that is a way that you can snag an image off of the screen and incorporate it into something else. Like in this case, we took a picture of the map and put it into PowerPoint. All right, I do want to give this an animation. So I'm going to click on it, go to animations, and this one I want to fade. So it's going to come in and fade in. I want to do the same for our branch. So if I go to slide 5, now we're going to have this address. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back out to the internet. And this time, I'm going to search for the new address. I'm going to right click on it, copy image, switch back over to PowerPoint, and then just paste. So this will give me the map. All right. I want to add another transition, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to have it fade. I'll make it just a little bit bigger. Sometimes when you're done with the presentation, somebody will say, hey, I like those, I need those location addresses. You say, fine, I'll email you a copy of the presentation. And you can. In fact, next week, we're going to show that you can convert these slides into a single page and send them as a PDF, or put them into Word and incorporate them into your Word documents, or however you want to do it. All right, so let's go to slide 6. All right, so again, I want to insert some animation. And I want to emphasize the prices again. So now I already have on slide 3 the dollar signs. So I'm going to bring them back. I'm going to click on the smaller one. It can be any of them, but I'll start with that one. Control C to copy. Switch to slide 6. Control V to paste. Okay, well, it's on here. It came over with the same animation I used last time. So I can change it if I want to. It's set to zoom. I can go to animations and see how it's already set to zoom. I'll change it to checkerboard. And I want to paste it again over next to higher prices. So you can see we're really pushing the the prices idea. So a dollar sign concept comes over twice. Now I want to insert picture from Bing Pictures. Big hamburger. And I want to make sure it's transparent. And here is a triple hamburger. That's pretty big. And that really shows up on the black background. Okay, let's give it an animation. So this one, I'm going to use grow and turn. Then I want to insert a small hamburger. And this time, I don't mind if it shows the competition, right? Because I'm actually insulting them. I'm going to make it transparent. Now here's a little tiny burger. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to remove the license order. And of course, I have to make it smaller. I'll do a quick animation. I'll have this one fly in, and then as the option from the top right. Now, I did not animate the text on this. So you could, but it just kind of depends how you're going to present it. The other thing I can do is, you'll notice each of these is a text box. So if I wanted to, I could animate them in boxes. Okay. But again, I want them to come over straight as a straight slide. And now we've got slide number 9, lots of avocado options. So the first thing I want to do is insert a picture of an avocado. So we'll use Bing Pictures. Make sure it's transparent. There we go. Nicely sliced avocado. And I'm going to slide this in the upper right-hand corner because I need room at the bottom. So my argument is avocados are more popular than ever. Well, how could I show that with any kind of data? If you remember, we actually did this with Excel. So I'm going to go back to my Microsoft Home. I can look under my Excel files, or because it's one of the most recently used, I'll see it on my list. But if I click on Excel, it shows me just the Excel files. And I want Excel 07 charts and graphs. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to open it beside my PowerPoint. And I can tell because now I have 3 tabs open at the top. And we're looking at Excel 07. So as you recall, we did a couple of charts here. And one of our charts was avocados eaten by city. So I'm going to select this chart, and I can see the control points around it. And I'm going to copy it. So Control C. And so just like we did with the internet, you can do this with anything, any object in Excel or Word or anything. We go back to PowerPoint, and I'm going to Control V to paste. And there is my chart to prove what I am saying, that avocados are more popular than ever. Okay. Now in this case, let's switch back here to Excel. You'll see my numbers here, 300, 250, and all that. They're not showing up much here on this chart. So I can say that's okay because I do have the numbers down here to indicate the numbers. Or if I decide that, I want that chart to have some kind of different background, so everything shows up more distinctly. The other thing we can do is we can insert a shape. Let's try that. I click on shapes and I'm going to insert a rectangle. Why? Because that's the way my chart is. Okay, so here's the rectangle. I'm going to first change the fill because I do not like that color. But I will make it like let's see. I'm going to go to more fill colors, select a green, and I want it to be a pretty dark green. So I'm selecting custom colors. And this is just like with Microsoft Word. If you really know exactly how much red, blue, and green go into your color, you can key them in by number down here. If you know the hex number, you can use that. Or you can use these tools to kind of adjust the green to what you want. So I'm going to take this as a dark green, click OK. And then I'm going to drag it across until I completely cover up my chart. Okay, now you say, hey, you just made it worse. I can't see anything. Well, in our shape toolbar, I'm going to use send backwards. In this case, because I know nothing else is coming behind it, I'm going to use send to back. Just like that. Okay, so to introduce it, I'm going to click on the border of my shape first, and I want to animate it. For this one, I want it to fade in. And then as the chart comes on top of it, I want to have it fly in from the bottom. What this will do, kind of give it a landing zone and then bring in the chart. The other option I could have done is gone back here to Excel 07, and I could have put a background on it. Remember how we were manipulating it? I could have done it here. The only thing about doing it here is when I copy it over into PowerPoint, I don't have them as separate objects. It'll just be one object with the background. So in this case, I can actually use it as a separate object. So let's take a look at how it's going to work. Do the slideshow from the current slide. We have lots of avocado options. There's our avocado. Avocados are more popular than ever. There comes my fade landing spot for my chart. And here comes the chart. You'll notice we did not animate the avocado. Okay, that's okay, because it kind of highlights the point. On the other hand, you could add an animation if you want to. If you really want to start getting fancy, you can overlap things like this. So see how my avocado is intentionally going to be overlapping my chart. That gives it a little different style. And if you remember, if you've ever taken any art classes, overlapping, the rule of threes, having 3 items, all those rules apply when you're working on PowerPoint, where you're putting all your elements of your slides. Okay, on slide 8, we have who we are. This time, this is about people. So I want to introduce or have a person be introducing this on my slide. So I'm going to go to Insert. And I'm going to go into icons again. This time with icons, there is another option at the top up here. You'll see there's cut out people. So I'm going to click on that. What they've done is they have pictures of people doing different things in different motions. And you can include them in your presentation. So you have lots of people from which to choose, and you have them doing lots of different things, and they're all dressed differently. So what this does, it essentially gives you the image of a person. You'll notice that a lot of them do have a checkered background, or I think all of them do. That checkered background tells you that it's transparent. That's the indication that these are all transparent. You'll also see they're organized by name. So if you want to see all the ones of Alexander, whoever that is, you can see it's the same person in different modes and doing different things. Okay. So Sherry, Jonathan, Christina, Carrie, Nicole, and there's more. And if you want to, you can go through them all. See lots of names. So it just kind of depends what you're looking for. So I'm going to go back. And what I want is somebody to look like maybe they're our human resources person, even though they're not on the chart. So I'm going to pick this one here under Sherry, put a check mark there, and insert. All right. So here's Sherry, but here's the problem. If I put her on the left side, she's pointing the wrong way. I could put her on the right side, but we read left to right. So how can I fix it? On any of these images, if I grab the center fill handle here, or the center sizing handle, click and hold it, where I see the two arrows. Remember, two arrows sizes. Okay, I can move it towards the middle, and then beyond the middle, she gets skinnier. And if I keep going past the other border, she flips. Now she's pointing the right way. I think I mentioned yesterday, you could do the same thing if you wanted her upside down by doing it vertically and stretching her out this way. Oops. Like that. So that's not true of every image. However, all the people images, you can do that and just basically have her flip. Okay. And then you can resize them. All right, so I want her to come in first, and she's going to come in and point. So I'm going to click on my animations, and I want her to fly in from the left. So I'm going to select fly in, and I'm just going to have her come in from the left. I'm going to click on my org chart here, and you'll see by clicking on that, I have animations. I'm going to use fly in, and this one will come in from the right. You can see that when I use my options, I can have it come in as one object, all at once, or one by one. So what that does, it brings each position in one at a time. So I'll have to click it each time. Let's take a look at that. I'm going to run slideshow from the current slide. So it starts off with who we are and our logo. When I click, I get my pointing person. And then I click again, there's the owner, manager, a waiter, head chef, assistant chef. Done. So say you have each person in the audience, you can introduce them and have their title come over and say, Sarah, please stand up. Mike, please stand up. And that kind of thing. Or you could just have the whole org chart come over as one object. All right. Number 9. So for this slide, we have our 3 items. And this time, I'm going to do a combination of an exit and entrance. So I want to bring over the hamburgers that I used before as part of the free food. So I'm going to click on slide 6. Here's my big hamburger. Copy it and paste it. Now, again, if you had copies of your hamburgers that you make at your restaurant, you can include those as well and not have to use clip art. So I'm going to put this up here by free food. And then we've got balloons. So I wanted to insert a picture about balloons. And again, I want to make it transparent. And I'll use this bunch here. And then I'm going to do a visit our hamburger magician. So I'll just put in a magician. Again, I want it to be transparent. And here I have a magician, but he's got cards. So I'm going to insert the magician. But he's supposed to be a hamburger magician, right? So that's okay. I can fix this clip art by using overlapping and grouping. So I'm going to go to Insert, again, Pictures. This time I want 2 pictures of hamburgers. Make sure they're transparent. And these need to be a little bit smaller. So here's a good one. And maybe this one at an angle. So I'm going to insert them both. They come in on top of each other. So I'm going to make it smaller. I want to put it just like he's holding it, so I could just see part of his hand. I'm going to angle it a bit and drop it right there. I'm going to remove all the notations that came with my clip art. I'm going to make this one smaller. And still a bit big. So you can just see a part of his hand. Okay, so I've got this one, this second hamburger selected. I'm going to hold the Shift key, select the first hamburger, keep the Shift key down, select my magician. I can right-click on any image and group. Okay, so now he's one image. See, as I resize, both the hamburgers come back and stretch out proportionally to the way I had them before. All right, so let's do our animations. So free food, that's a pretty good thing. Let's go to animations for the hamburger. And I'm using emphasis this time. So, because this is our final slide and we really want to emphasize the food, I'm going to go ahead and use a fancy one. So I'm going to use the spin. So we're going to spin the burger. Balloons do fly in. So I'm going to use the option from the bottom right. So they're going to fly over our logo up to their position. And I think I'll move them up a bit, just next to the hamburger like that. And then for our hamburger magician, he should do a fade. All right, so we have one more thing to add, one more element. I want to insert a shape. And you'll see at the bottom, we have callouts and we have stars. I call them stars and banners, or I think of them sometimes as explosions. They look like explosions. And so I've got this pointed star. It kind of looks like a seal, but I can stretch it out this way. And I want to cover up everything I just did. I want to change the shape color, make it a bright yellow. And then, you know, we have the outline here, so I can do an outline. So I want to do red again, stick with our little theme. There is another way to create an outline and use overlapping. I'm going to copy this banner and then paste it. See how that overlapped just a bit and it's just a little off? I'm going to use the right bottom sizing handle and bring it towards the center until it's pretty much in the middle. So by doing that, I have two together and it just gives it an interior line and an exterior line. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and I'm going to select the box underneath it and I'm going to group these together. All right, so they're grouped. Again, that means as I move them or as I resize them, they will stay proportional to each other. Okay, I want to click on my title. I want to move that up so you can't see that. Then I want to add one more element. I'm going to insert a text box. So I'll go to the Insert menu, and here's text box. And like I said, in 365, that's all you really have for text. In the larger version of PowerPoint, you get a lot more options. But this will work. So I want to say grand opening. But first of all, I can't read the white writing on the yellow background, so I definitely want to change that color. And I'm going to make it a blackish color here. And I'm going to say grand opening, exclamation point. For the font, because this is a big deal, I'm going to use Broadway, and then I'm going to make it a lot larger. So as I was resizing it, I ran out of room in my text box, so I just increased the size of my text box. And I want to go even further. Here we go. All right, so I want the text to go with my big splash there. So I'm going to hold the Shift key and click my grouped splash. So that little explosion in the background. Now, you can add items to a grouped item by doing just this, by using that Shift key. I can right click while it's being held down, go to group, and you'll see my options are group and ungroup. So because it knows at least two items have been grouped, I could degroup them right now, but I don't want to. I actually want to add that third item to my group. So I'm going to click on group. There we go. Now it moves as one object. And then when I animate it, I'm going to make it an exit animation. And I'm going to have it disappear. So this would be the last item. I actually want it to be the first item to be animated. So it's set at number 4. I'm going to move it earlier till it's number 1. So we can test it. Go to slideshow, current slide. Hope to see you. When I click, it disappears. Emphasize the free food, the balloons, and the magician with the hamburgers. So you can also use the animations for exiting as a reveal. So that's kind of what we did here. You can have them just fly out, or they could be covering something up. And remember that layering concept? That layering concept means there are things behind it. And just because this one has an exit animation, the others don't. All right, so let's take a look at this and see if we're done. Here's a chance to proof all of our changes. So I'm going to run the slideshow from the beginning, and let's see if they all work. Okay, slide one. Our first reveal, a new place for lunch. There's all the good things about a great hamburger place. And of course, the savings. Here comes our map. The other map, and we can compare our burgers to everybody else. Give our stats on avocados. Talk about the people that are part of our organization. And hope to see you there. Grand opening for the free food, free balloons for the kids, and our hamburger magician. The end. By the way, I wanted to mention something I noticed. Notice when I did the come visit us and put the 510 keystone, I do have the street view incorporated into my image. However, when I did the next one at Las Palmas, there's no street view. How did that happen? If you remember, I used the screenshot to take this one, right? When I went to this one, I didn't do a screenshot. I was trying to show the different ways of doing it. So I right-clicked on the image and used the copy function. What happens is in the internet, this street view picture is an overlapping picture that overlaps the map. So when I right-click on the map, it just copies the map, not the street view. So that's why this one came like that. So I wanted to point out the differences of those two. If you take a screenshot, you get however it displays. But you'll notice now there are one image. This is not two images grouped together. It's just a single image. If I right-click, see there's no even grouping options. Whereas this one is a single image and it doesn't have the street view. Now I could go back to the internet and I could right-click on the street view image and paste it over here and overlay it. Or I could go back and use my right-click to take a screenshot of that image too. So either way, it just kind of depends what your goals are. All right, so that's grouping images. We made a logo. And hopefully we did some good advertising for our new restaurant. Are there any questions? If there's no questions, we are done for the evening. Tomorrow is Friday, so we won't have class. And then Monday is President's Day, so we won't have class, but I'll send out a reminder. So we'll be back on Tuesday and we'll wrap up our PowerPoint and then we'll be done with the class next week. So have a great evening and a great weekend.